This is a film study focused on what Kelvin Sheppard's defense was able to accomplish in Monday night's win over the Tampa Bay Bucs, how they held Baker Mayfield to 228 yards passing on 50 attempts, only 9 points for Tampa Bay, while completely annihilating and shutting down the run game. I'm going to get immediately to the film and give you some summary thoughts at the end. I'll try to present to you and describe, number one, what Kelvin Sheppard's defense did with so many backup or even third-string guys out there, and why I think this style of defense could persist into the future for Kelvin Sheppard's group. I'll try to provide you with as much information as possible. The game situation, again, going to focus on the first 7 possessions where they forced Tampa Bay to punt 5 times and then get 2 turnovers in the second quarter that unfortunately Detroit's unable to take advantage of. So I'm going to try to illustrate the difference between a base defensive look and then the 3+1 or 3-3 personnel that Sheppard is utilizing on third down, obvious passing situations. First possession, this is a 2nd and 5, and you got Aleem McNeil and Hutchinson lined up together in what quite obviously is an 8-man front for Detroit, a response to 12 personnel. So 2 tight ends on the field for the Bucs, 1 up here to the right, 1 to the left, and they've rolled a safety into the box, created an 8-man front. Immediate pressure for Aleem McNeil going up against the center one-on-one. Total disruption of the pocket for Baker Mayfield, driving the center back into his field of vision. And it's a fire zone. It's a 3-deep, 3-under, something I'd like to see more of from Kelvin Sheppard. So you got 2 corners that are primarily deep third defenders, but don't think of it necessarily as zone. They're matching routes. Middle of the field, free safety. 3 underneath droppers, fire zone-ish, if you will, because it's not like there was a second-level defender blitzing. And once Baker Mayfield gets out of there, it's Jack Campbell, of course. It's Jack Campbell who pursues the quarterback. I think he technically gets credit for a sack here. Clearly, the guy who was primarily responsible for the disruption was Aleem McNeil. First possession, and you get an idea that he's going to be a problem for multiple offensive linemen. We've seen that for the last couple of years, particularly in 2023 and 2024. Great coverage variation in this video that I'm trying to present to you from Kelvin Sheppard. First possession, basically establishing that, hey, despite all the guys we've got on the field that are backups or even new to the team, in the case of Arthur Millette, we can be multiple in coverage. So very next play, 3rd and 6, again on the first possession. This is the 3+1 alignment. I'll try to be consistent here. Probably should have done that one in blue. Try to get Barnes in blue, but both of the safeties are illustrated in blue. Really, so far in 2025, it's been Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph back here on third downs in a 2-high safety structure. 3 defensive linemen illustrated by these 3 purple arrows, not necessarily the path that they take trying to get to the quarterback, and then Derek Barnes as the +1. But personnel-wise, numerically, it's a 3-3 personnel group, meaning you've got Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, and then Derek Barnes as the 3rd inside linebacker. They do a great job of covering these routes up. I think quarterbacks are having trouble with these type of looks so far, at least. And so this is Barnes in a spy alignment on Baker Mayfield. I think this is Millette. A couple of times in the video, he doesn't look great in some of the coverage situation, but he clearly made plays. But the idea behind this 2-high safety structure that looks like 2-man, at least at times or in part, is that the safeties can cover things up. In this case, it's Amik running all the way across the field on a 3rd and 6. Let's pull this back and let's see where he comes from. Number 1, this is Amik on Sheppard going all the way across the field. So there is time. Again, it's a 3-man rush with Barnes as the add-on, the 4th guy, if you will. So not a traditional 4-man pass rush. Barnes is not a traditional player. He's a hybrid inside linebacker, outside linebacker, D-end, coverage guy, quarterback spy. He's playing fantastic, if you ask me. It's really interesting to me the way that Kelvin Sheppard kind of installs the coverages in your brain as a quarterback or an offensive coordinator. Hey, this is what we're going to do early, and then kind of deviates from it here over the course of the first 12 or the 12 or 13 plays that I'm going to present to you. So same play from the end zone angle, by the way. This is the chip on Hutchinson, consistently putting the tight end to the right side. You got a lot going on in terms of the pre-snap look. Alex Anzalone is lined up to the tight end, giving you a clear indication, hey, we're in man. Number 1, part and parcel to that is Jack Campbell typically being matched up or lined up on the running back. And you can see that Barnes stops his path, sits and spies Baker Mayfield, very similar to what they did to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in week 3. Amik is chasing Sheppard across the field. You do have Millette, I think, kind of losing his guy. It might be Egbuka, but that's going to be taken over by the safety. It's one of the things that I felt like Baker Mayfield was looking to happen. Guys are going to get open eventually while the safeties are covering it up. You've just mathematically, I think this is brilliant usage of his 11 players on defense by Kelvin Sheppard. He's just basically changing the math, if you will. Early on, played the zone blitz on the 2nd and 5, fire zone. And then here his patented, what is now patented, 3+1, two-man look, different variations with the safeties that causes problems for quarterbacks and receivers that are, just trying to get the first down. All right, we'll move forward a little bit here. This is after the strip sack by Diaby, who beat Taylor Decker on the left side. So now Tampa Bay's second possession. After a penalty, it's a 1st and 15. And I think Rock Ya-Sin played at an extremely high level early in this game in the first half, before his injury. Now, this is a traditional setup illustrated by the 4 purple arrows. You do not have Barnes on the field as one of those players set up to rush the passer. Okay, so he's off the field in this alignment, but the Lions have just replaced him with a safety. They've just put a safety in the box. So basically recreated their 4-3 structure against 11 personnel and said, hey, even though you got Mike Evans down here as the X, we're going to go ahead and guard him with Rock Ya-Sin. Traditional man-free, in fact, from a coverage standpoint. Jack Campbell is the middle of the field, low hole dropper, if you will, underneath. Some would say he looks like he's spying. He's really just in a low hole dropper delineation, but it's a great play by Rock Ya-Sin. He's just competing. He's just competing with Evans. No, I know Evans was not 100%, but Rock made him work into the boundary, competed, I thought played extremely well, provided this defensive spark into the boundary. It looked like he was set there pretty much most of the time to me. Again, we're on the second possession, still the same play, and one more time, you got the tight end set up to the right. He's going to chip Hutchinson, but this time instead of Barnes being on the field in that 3+1, like I said, you've got 4 traditional defensive linemen on the field, so 2 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends, with Hutchinson on the left, and then I think Muhammad on the right. Now you've got Hallett, man on the tight end. So accomplishing really the same task. It's just a more typical coverage or typical version of man, if you will. Alex Anzalone takes the running back here. And then Campbell is the low hole dropper underneath. Baker's going up top. I think because it's a typical structure, something he recognized, one high safety look. I'm going to go up top here, and I'm going to give Evans a chance to make the play. Basically trying to throw him a jump ball, if you will, play above the rim. Rock is there. He's not able to get to that height, clearly, but playing well, at least making things difficult on Evans early on. Still in the same possession, 3rd and 7. They're, like I said, forced punts on the first 5 possessions. So empty set by the Bucs. And so initially you got Anzalone down here on the tight end to the bottom side. There's actually 2 tight ends on the field. I think this is a second one here. And then Jack Campbell up here on Rashad White, the running back. This is, of course, brilliant play by Jack Campbell. It's a 3+1 setup or 3-3 structure, if you will, with 2 high safeties. Multiple things happen post-snap. Sometimes it's a clean version of 2-man. Sometimes one guy's dropping down, the other guy's rotating back to center field. I think sometimes they have predetermined double teams on some of the best wide receivers. If you look post-snap here, this is Egbuka on the left. Look at the safety here, dropping down. So he's not backpedaling at all. You've got a flat-footed read, just looking at Egbuka, trying to take away the initial route. So basically helping out Arthur Millette, who's obviously at a deficit with Egbuka, if he was to guard him, typically for all 4 quarters. So a brilliant play by Jack Campbell, who I think he's playing as good as it gets at the inside linebacker position, covering running backs in man, playing against the run, extremely physical. He's a violent tackler so far this year. As good as it gets for me, along with Ernest Jones IV, like I've said multiple times. This is from the 3rd possession, and I want to illustrate this one. It's clearly not a 3rd down, but I want to use it for illustration purposes to give you an idea of the difference between a base 4-3 and what I call the 3+1 or 3-3 personnel group that Sheppard is using on 3rd downs. I think a lot of people are mislabeling these things, and what I mean is, yes, this is a 4-3 look by the Lions. You got 4 down linemen and then 3 inside linebackers in the case of Barnes on our left, Campbell in the middle, and then Anzalone now set to the field. But on a third down situation, one of these 4 defensive linemen would be off. So it's not a base defensive look, even though you have 3 inside linebackers on the field. It's a hybrid 3-3 that Kelvin Sheppard is using brilliantly. But in any case, that's not the situation or the dynamic here. It's a run concept to our left, or the right-hand side of the Lions defense. One of the reasons why so many people love a 4-3, I mean, I have mixed feelings about it, but it allows you to match up a defensive end, a badass defensive end, with a tight end. And in this case, Hutchinson beats Otten across his face, gets in on Rachaad White on the run concept away from him. And then, as usual, it's Jack Campbell finishing the play by slamming the running back and ending up on top of him. He's just having an amazing year so far, in my opinion. It's a physical Detroit Lions defense. They're committed to what they do. This is the same play from the end zone angle, by the way. Why are they in a 4-3 structure? Because it's 12 personnel for the Bucs. It's YY trips, which Detroit is using a lot under John Morton. But in any case, on the run concept away, here's Hutchinson. He's going to win in that direction, running down the line of scrimmage with the outside tight end. Otten, just look how everything is jammed up. There's nowhere for this run play to go. These guys are playing with extreme commitment, very connected. A great night of defense, in my opinion. And the film actually looks even better than it did live on Monday night. A couple of plays later, it's a 3rd and 3 on that third possession. And one more time, Detroit's in the same setup, 3+1. Barnes is on the field with Anzalone and Jack Campbell. So into the boundary, you've got Anzalone set up to the tight end. To the top side of the field, 3 receivers out of 11 personnel for the Bucs, matched up with the 3 DBs for Detroit. 2 high safeties, so giving away the coverage, and I just don't think Kelvin Sheppard and Dan Campbell care at all. Really, this is a route combination that the Chiefs used to get their first touchdown, I think, to Travis Kelce. Maybe it was their second touchdown against the Lions, but they use the same concept. It's essentially a slant with the outside receiver and a pick to try to clear Mike Evans up on a third down, 3rd and short, in fact, like I said, 3rd and 3. So Evans, a little slow getting out of there. Obviously, he's not 100%. And then they're running a pick, screen, rub, whatever you want to call it, with the outside receiver. I think it's Egbuka running a slant, and then Evans trying to win to the sideline. The Lions have got it covered up, number one, from the standpoint of their coverage, tight coverage, man, but then also Aleem McNeil swatting the pass down. Lions, I think, had 12 PDs on the night. Multiple occurred at the line of scrimmage. I finally figured out, I think it was Jay Bags from our Lions Discord, that the second PD for Barnes was actually a ball that was caught. But same play from the end zone angle. Remind you just one more time, it's a 3rd and 3. Here's McNeil. He's going to get the PD. This is a 3+1. Here's your 3 dedicated rushers. Again, very similar dynamic to what they did against the Ravens in week 3. And then here's Barnes. He's the +1. Consistently, I'll try to spot shadow him in blue moving forward here in this game. But you can see he's dropping out in his spy alignment. 2 helmets there. That one is Barnes. Mayfield trying to throw it to his left. And McNeil, just the activity level. The activity level, the pursuit, the effort, everything was perfect. I mean, damn near perfect. I guess nothing is perfect, but these guys were close to it. The desire, the commitment, totally amazing performance in the first half, which is, what I'm focusing on here. Moving forward to the 4th possession, it's a 1st and 10 in the second quarter. Detroit's still only up 7-0. You have the second possession that was the strip sack by Diaby. The 3rd possession, they go for it on the 4th and 2, unfortunately, and are unable to get it. So 12 personnel ball on the left hash. And this is a great job by Rock Ya-Sin. I mean, he played with such an edge. He comes down here on this motion by Tez Johnson, and he's going to violently take Mike Evans out of this route. You talk about cover 2 and a hard corner cover 2 into the flats. He's totally disrupted Evans from his route. Baker is clearly looking to that side, and I think he's reading this safety or seeing this safety possibly commit to this route here by Tez Johnson. And so Mike Evans should probably be further into his route. He's not. Why? Because of the disruption of Rock Ya-Sin. Kelvin Sheppard, Dan Campbell, that staff, they remind me of teams that are uncompromising in terms of their physicality. Basically, we're going to play football the way it's supposed to be played. And collision receivers, whether it's man or zone, and play with such effort that you're going to wilt. Now, Tampa Bay stayed in it, particularly, their defense. They're badass defense. The announcers talked about on this play, hey, 2 players ended up in the same area on a route. That's fine. That's accurate. But what really, to me, really stands out here is Rock Ya-Sin jamming Mike Evans, settling in the flats. Basically, I look at these as like body blows. If you can land enough of those on receivers, whether it's Mike Evans, who was obviously not 100%, or anyone else for that matter, it puts them at a deficit as you get deeper into the game. The Lions played with tremendous intensity. The film looks better, like I said, than it looked live. I could not think higher of what those guys were able to go out there and accomplish. Still in that 4th possession, in fact, very next play, 2nd and 10. And you got Barnes on the field. He's the blue, illustrated by the blue line here. And the Lions are bringing 6-man pressure. I think it's possible that you've got a missed assignment here by Arthur Millette. My apologies, different play. This is a 3 deep, 2 under. This is Millette right here. We'll pull this back a little bit. I had my plays confused. Sorry about that. So it's a 6-man pressure because you got a safety and Jack Campbell adding on to the initial 4 rushers that are lined up on the line of scrimmage. And it's just great reactions. This is Rock up to the top side, into the boundary, like I said. Quick completion to Egbuka underneath. 3 deep, 2 under. I don't know what the heck you want to call this. That's what I've come to know it as. 3 deep, 2 under. 2 underneath defenders, Anzalone and Millette. And then Rock is just reacting quickly to the throw. Baker's getting it out of there on a 2nd and 10. Feel like you could get something there? No, it's only 4 yards. You had to fight. Tampa Bay, they had to fight for every yard. Everything was contested, combative. Rock fit right in here. In fact, I think he set the tone. I think he set the tone for this group in the secondary early on. Very next snap, and they do get a conversion here, but I want to show this to illustrate how difficult it was for Tampa Bay to get things done, in fact, in this game. So Anzalone set to the tight end one more time. Who's to the right? Same side as, you guessed it, Aiden Hutchinson. A second tight end is up here to the top side. Amik is lined up over him, and I think you've got Millette, and then Rock as the outside corner. So it's 12 personnel on a 3rd and 6. Interesting to me that Tampa Bay did that. My guess is they were trying to get a dedicated chip on the right with this tight end. If Hutchinson was on the left for the defense, and if Hutchinson was on the other side, then perhaps they would get a dedicated chip from Otten. So it's a Tampa 2. It's a badass version of it. Anzalone is in the flats here, and Rock is in the flats here. Normally, your corners are in the flats as you're in a Tampa 2. Half-field safeties, which you've kind of got covered here by these 2 guys. You'll show in a blue line in a moment. Someone is going to run the middle of the field because the Tampa 2 is really a misnomer. It's really 3 players deep. In this case, it ends up being Jack Campbell. It ends up being Amik Robertson. But the cool thing about this, the variation, is that Anzalone is the flat corner. He's the flat player in this defense. I want to see more of this. I want to see them line up in their 3+1 or their 2-man look and then play more zone stuff. It's a completion to Otten, just barely. There's 2 guys there. It's Millette and Rock Ya-Sin. Against the Tampa 2, there's open spots. There's declared spots, but Baker Mayfield trying to find them against this irregular look, this what I continue to refer to as a 3+1. Hutchinson, 2 other dedicated defensive linemen, and then Barnes as the +1 defender. In this case, he's lined up as an edge guy. Campbell's on the line of scrimmage, dropping out. Like I said, I misspoke earlier. It's actually Amik Robertson is the middle of the field defender in the Tampa 2. You can see that you're getting hands on there. I believe that's by Millette. Rock is off screen with Otten. They do end up getting the conversion, like I said, for 6 yards. They're very prepared. Multiple. This was a virtuoso performance, in my opinion. I hope that my film study can do it some level of justice in portraying how many coverages they played. They were not simplistic at all. Kelvin, Sheppard, and those guys stayed true to who they are. They said that leading up to the game, and they were absolutely right. Same possession. We've skipped forward a couple of plays. Ball's on the left hash. It's a 3rd and 6. You got a regular look here, a normal, typical look, mug. So 6 players in that box there on the line of scrimmage, and then a 1 high safety structure for the Lions. You're going to get, number 1, Evans on this out route. This is, of course, the one that Rock challenged him. Rock is actually set to the field here, but you've got Egbuka and Evans to the field, so you would think that makes sense. That would be the read side. It's a trips but empty set. The running back is set to take over the blitz by Jack Campbell against the mug. And this is just great work from Rock Ya-Sin. I'm not exactly sure what the coverage is, to be honest with you. I guess it's a fire zone because you've got 6 players in coverage here for Detroit. But let's let it play through a couple of times so you can see what Rock does. It's 720p. I'm not sure why. I have 1080 film. It's only showing in 780p, so hopefully it's not too bad for you guys to look at. Slowing it down. Rock is just there. It's only 1 foot in for Evans. He clearly, was able to push him out of bounds. He just played with tremendous fire and energy. I'll be honest with you, I was expecting the Bucs to score more. I'm not going to say I thought they'd score 30 points, but I was expecting them to be, a 24-21 game somewhere in that range. Mug look, like I said, one more time. And instead of both inside linebackers blitzing, well, there's actually 3 inside linebackers on the field, right? Barnes, but I said, I don't even know if you should call him a position at this point. He's a hybrid. Anzalone's going to drop out. Campbell's going to blitz, and he's going to get picked up by the running back. That's why Baker moved Rachaad White up to the line of scrimmage from the left side to the right to help with the pass pro because it was a mug look. And, theoretically, you could have 6 blitzers. But Rachaad White picks him up pretty well. You can see that I think Tampa Bay handles this, at least initially, in terms of a 5-man rush. Baker's looking all the way, at Evans and Egbuka. It's a big moment. They've been shut down, initially. And he's going over there. It's a great play, man. I just can't speak high enough of Rock Ya-Sin. Again, it's a little grainy. The camera's moving, so you're going to get some blurring. But great challenge. Great catch. I mean, really, from Mike Evans. Obviously only gets 1 foot down. And as fired up as everybody else was, Dan Campbell was like, after 2 of these stops, you got a view of him. He was just cool. I thought Rock's play against Evans early really plugged this defense in and boosted them up, if you will. So we skipped a bunch of plays on the 5th possession. It's a 3rd and 6. Detroit's up 14-0 at this point. So this is really the same reaction that Branch has shown multiple times. I'm not saying it's just as good, but it's a 3+1 on 3rd down, 3rd and 6, like I said. And I think this is Sheppard going across the field. This is the one that I believe Arthur Millette blows the coverage. So it's a 4-man rush from the initial 3, and then Barnes up to the top side, illustrated by the blue line. Millette gets picked off here. So Millette, let's pull this back a little bit. He is responsible for Sheppard right now. So I think you're matching up here, and then Anzalone on the tight end. And Millette ends up getting picked off. And the reason why I displayed or talked about the safety, look at this reaction. This is so reminiscent of Branch against the Ravens. Remember the 3rd down that Zay Flowers caught like right at the line to gain? It's a 3rd and 7. I want to say 3rd quarter. It's very similar to that, except Sheppard is going all the way across the field. This is a 3rd and 6. Millette gets picked off, and basically the safety covers it up. That's why you have 2 safeties there. Number 1, number 2. I think this is Rock up to the top side, and that safety is covering him up, basically helping him. By the time Baker tries to get to something else, since this is taken away, and so is this, we've got a sack. Now, it's an inverted nature of the 3+1. There's just nothing there for Baker, but let me give you the end zone angle so you can see what I'm talking about. Here's Barnes, okay? I really thought this was a split sack live. I'm not sure why it's not now, but I'm glad that Barnes got one. It gives him 3 for the season, along with 40-plus tackles. But the way that it's going to work is he's going to stunt to the inside, and then he's going to run right into an offensive lineman, basically almost intentionally. This is Muhammad. All they've done is switch those 2. Normally, Muhammad would be the guy doing this, so like an inside rush or maybe an outside rush, and then Barnes would be the spy looping over the top. They just switched those 2. They just inverted their roles, so Muhammad loops over the top. Hutchinson is going to get there eventually. Like I said, I thought this was a split sack live. There's nothing available. There's the safety who covered up Sheppard's route. Remember, it came all the way across the field. Millette got picked off. Millette's actually in here trying to fight over the top. So, I mean, he played well, don't get me wrong, and I'm a fan of Arthur Millette, but he's one of the guys that I think watching this film here that from a coverage standpoint, didn't look as good as it did live, but this is pure chaos, man, for the Bucs to try to deal with. Kelvin Sheppard was not dialing things back at all. We'll get to the 2 turnovers caused in the second quarter. That'll be, pretty much all I'll cover in this video. I wasn't sure how many plays to present. I mean, It definitely got to the point where I had like 25, 26 plays edited and cut up. And I thought, I can't do this. That'd be like an hour-long video. I think the game is worthy of that, but no one probably wants to watch 40 minutes of defensive film that really at times looks, quite similar, even though Sheppard was very versatile and multiple. So this is 6 possession. Traditional 4-man front and a 1 high safety structure presented by Detroit. What I think is notable here, this is the one, by the way, that I think is not supposed to have Arthur Millette blitzing here. Basically, you've got a free rusher, a free runner, I should say, at the wide receiver position. Meek is going to force the fumble on Sheppard, tracking all the way across the field, all right? This safety is trying to cover up, let's move this out of the way. He's trying to cover up Tez Johnson. Tez Johnson is who I think Millette is supposed to be covering, and he blitzes as part of, it ends up being a 6-man rush, really. But there's Meek tracking Sheppard all the way across the field, gets the punch out. He's spectacular at that. What I think is cool, he's got a great reaction to it, off all the time, I should say. He just gets up, runs back to the sideline, presenting a little cool demeanor. It's a great play, first of all, to get the ball back to the offense. Unfortunately, we know that they didn't take advantage. Ball's on the left hash, same play from the end zone angle. Like I said, a traditional 4-man rush setup. That's the 4 purple lines that you see on your screen. So Jack Campbell's going to blitz, and then off-screen, Millette is going to blitz as well. I don't think he should be, but I could entirely be wrong, because the way this works out, Hutchinson's going to end up stunting to the inside. Why? Well, the tight end's over here one more time to chip him. Obviously, the Bucs wanted to make sure that he didn't have the impact that he did last year, so he stunts to the inside. So I think they're just trying to clear things up, and as a result of him stunting to the inside, the tight end this time chips Millette, on the blitz. So there's Tez Johnson running across. That's the guy that I think Millette, should be guarding. And then here is Meek tracking Sheppard all the way across the field. I don't know what people are talking about online. They think this shouldn't be a fumble. Like, you're saying you think your player dropped the ball here that easily? That's a forced fumble. Took a couple of steps. I think it was actually trying to take a third. Complete shutdown so far. It really could have been 20-0 or 21-0 at some point. 5 punts and then 1 forced fumble here. We'll give you the last one, which is obviously the Millette interception. He's located to the top side of the field. You are going to get a crosser by the tight end who's located here in the bottom side to the boundary. The way that, first of all, I do want to note this. This is the 3rd time I've seen this year, where you have a player who is obviously off the line of scrimmage. Let me move this for a moment. I'll try to pull this back. This wide receiver, Tez Johnson, obviously off the line, and then this tight end to the downside. Look at their feet. If I've done that right, if you think that I've given that line in a way that's misrepresented, I can move it so, maybe that's better. To me, it looks like their feet are in a line. This is on the line right here. That's on the line. This is not. But if that's not, then how are these tackles on the line? So it's just a gray area for me. If you look at the tight end to the bottom side and this slot receiver, they're both at the same depth, in my opinion. But in any case, that's the guy, that's the tight end who's going to, once again, chip Aiden Hutchinson and then flow across the field. Millette with an amazing interception. The Bucs are trying everything they can, man. They're trying motion to get Detroit to reveal their coverage. Tampa 2, late in the second quarter. This is Jack Campbell running in between the hashes. Number 1. Number 2, you've got 2 safeties deep, splitting the field. Maybe this guy's a little bit tighter. Maybe he's got to be a little bit closer to the top of the numbers. But here's the tight end running across. Baker Mayfield actually has time here to set up. I'm not sure what he's loading up to throw here that he thinks could possibly be there. I mean, maybe he's trying to do something here with this later developing dig, but he's certainly, hopefully, not trying to get the ball to that route there with safeties basically bracketing him. And we're zoomed out, and it's very grainy, I'm sure, on your end. So my apologies for that. But at no time did the tight end have possession at all. And if he did, quote, take the ball from Millette, they're on the ground, so they're touching each other. To me, whoever has possession is the guy that's got the football once they're touched. I just don't think that the tight end ever had possession. I don't get the complaints about that play at all from many Bucs fans. But here's the tight end on the right. Going to chip Hutchinson for like the 500th time in this game and then work his way across the field. Campbell is the middle of the field guy in what looks like a Tampa 2 to me. It's a zone structure. Like I said, Tampa 2, you got declared open spots. Just a wonderful play, man, by Millette. I think Millette has possession before they even get to the ground. To me, he's got two hands on the ball. He's got control. Let's do it that way. He's definitely got control of the ball. Otten does not, in my opinion. He doesn't ever have control of the ball. I recognize there'll be, different opinions on that. But I think this play can be almost instructive of the way that Detroit's defense played under Kelvin Sheppard on Monday night. They were unique in that they were so multiple, but also dedicated to the style that Sheppard and Dan Campbell want. I think it's an amazing performance. I really do. I don't know where do you rank it and what words do you apply to it? Connected, cohesive, committed, and just violent and adhering to their style of play. Maybe they recommitted to this after the Chiefs game. I don't know. Can you do this every week? We're going to find out, because Kelvin Sheppard is playing a different game than most of the rest of the NFL. I believe he's changing the numbers defensively with Barnes. Well, with Barnes and Anzalone. Anzalone can cover the tight end, so you don't have to allocate a DB to do that, right? And then Barnes can be a spy. He can be a rusher. He's got 3 sacks, by the way, and over 40 tackles at this point. 1 pass defense. I thought there was more than that throughout the course of the year, but maybe I'm remembering other seasons, in fact. He's playing spectacular. To me, if you're watching this team, Alex Anzalone's playing great as well, but Campbell and Barnes are absolutely at Pro Bowl type level. Campbell probably even above that. It's a 3-3 personnel look on third down, obvious passing situations. 3 defensive linemen, dedicated rushers. 2 inside linebackers, Campbell and Anzalone. And then Barnes is the third one, the hybrid. I think it's different on obvious passing downs. That's why it's one of the reasons why I included the base 4-3 look in this video. And I did the end zone angle first so you guys could see it and see the difference between it. I think many have misconstrued it. They got their base defense on the field in 3rd and 6. No, they don't. It's 3 down linemen, and Barnes is the 4th. So I'm amazed at what Sheppard's doing. It's fun to watch. It's fun to try to decipher and understand. I don't pretend to understand all of it. I do know this. They annihilated the Bucs run game. 12 carries, 41 yards. Barnes a huge part of it. He's doing a great job, whatever they ask him to do. Part of me would like to see a little bit more variance. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. Going into the game, I would have said I'd like to see a little bit more variance in how they use Barnes. Basically, blitz him and drop Campbell out, or blitz him and drop a defensive end. Well, they did that. You saw the inversion or the switch between him and Muhammad, where Muhammad was basically the spy and Barnes was rushing to the inside. I feel like we saw a tremendous array of coverages just in the first half, and Sheppard must have done a great job preparing these guys. He's obviously put his stamp on the Lions' defensive structure, and I think this was a defining effort in his career, but also for other guys, for the veterans like Rock Ya-Sin and Arthur Millette. And I'm a fan of Millette, so you guys have to understand that for me to say I don't think he played as well on film as we thought live, Rock's a guy that I think actually played better watching the film than I did live. But young guys, Hallett, Whiteside, Harper, Strickland, all of those guys were finding receivers in coverage and latching on. The 2 safety structure look, the 2-man look, I call it on third down, is causing problems. Baker had difficulty with it. He's clearly frustrated with the refs, Baker Mayfield, after the game with his post-game comments. I think he was frustrated with the coverages. I think he was frustrated with the inability to get things done. He finished 28 of 50 passing. A lot of that damage was done in the 4th quarter. The first half, what we focused on here, he was 9 of 16 for 47 yards. That first half was completely amazing. I think the first half absolutely deserves a description as a legendary performance, at least from the time that I've been able to watch football and try to encapsulate it for people, Ravens fans, Lions fans. It's a memorable game, and I think worthy of an individual video that, I tried to offer you guys here. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comment section, number 1. Commenting once the live video premieres, commenting down below underneath really helps the videos get circulated to a larger audience. So if you enjoyed it, please consider doing that to help me and get, generate more revenue, more views, and get this video pushed out to a larger audience. Finally, if you think other Lions fans would enjoy checking out my breakdown of Kelvin Sheppard's defense and how they strong-armed the Bucs and Baker Mayfield, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.